Bad moon rising tonight for Mike Bliss, spun out of the victory in the NEXTEL Open, and for Joe Nemechek, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, and the rest of the 9 drivers caught up in the big wreck. 15 drivers made it to the caution flag to end segment 1. 75 grand for Mark Martin, 20 grand for Elliott Sadler, $10,000 for Greg Biffle here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. So 4 drivers bank the entire $105,000 in bonuses for segment 1. Fords finish in the first 4 positions. Martin, Sadler, Biffle, and add Kurt Busch to that list. So the Fords good on the road behind us. Hopefully they're built for the road ahead. 2 segments to go here on Stock Car Racing's All-Star Night, the NEXTEL All-Star Challenge.
That old retro paint job Mark's got on there kind of brings back a lot of memories here at Charlotte. All good.
Something old, something blue, something new. The paint job on Kurt Busch's car. Ford built for the road ahead. Now Dale Jr. has climbed out of his car to look over the front end. Steve.
And let's talk to Mike. Dale, your crew's working on the valence to the front of the race car. You checked the toe earlier. How bad is it?
Well, the steering wheel's in a different place, but the toe's the same. So maybe it just, I don't know, sometimes it'll do that, but it's a bit, maybe just something just as small as a ball joint. It really didn't handle too bad. It's just hard to tell. We only got 1 or 2 laps, but we're working on it, try to get it out there and see if we can get it fast and see what we can do. You know, you don't quit till you can't go no more. But so we can still go. That was a lot of fun driving through the grass, spinning around. But you know, just had a pretty decent car. Just needed a little more adjustment or 2, and was really looking forward to it.
All right, thank you, Dale. Let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Well, Steve, during this 10-minute intermission, the guys can work on the race car. As you saw, the 8 car, they're working to try to make repairs to the front valence area. But you can also, if you're one of the other teams, you can also add tape. Just like during a normal NASCAR race, you can only do certain changes that NASCAR allows you to do. Add tape to the front end to try to make more downforce. Obviously, you can change and put 4 Goodyear tires on there, make air pressure adjustments from within. Or if you elect to put a spring rubber in the rear or maybe the front to try to make your car work a little bit better, you can do that. Always, you can work with the wedge wrench either in the back of the car as far as track bar or anywhere else you need to as far as tightening the car up or loosening it up. Those are only things you can work on that NASCAR is going to allow under this 10-minute intermission. So you got to make sure that those adjustments are what your driver wants having done to the car to get it hooked up for these final segments that are so important. But another thing that's going to be real important is down there with my buddy Chris Myers. Chris, what's going on?
I'm at the NEXTEL Cutaway Hopper where 28 ping pong balls are bouncing around. We're going to turn the machine off just for a moment. And the fate of Mark Martin, who won that first segment, and Matt Kenseth, as Mike Joy pointed out, in the 12th spot, could be totally twisted. The NEXTEL NASCAR inversion game. You can turn this off for a second so you know that. And with each one of there are 4 ping pong balls that match one of our NASCAR voices and faces here. You know, Steve Burns, of course, Mr. Trackside. You got Mike Joy. You've seen this guy probably at a post office somewhere. Of course, DW, Larry Mack. I think his driver's license photo a little better. And this guy on the end, of course, archaeologists are still examining that photo. Now, you can turn it back on there, Dave from NEXTEL. These will bounce around. We'll randomly pull out one of these ping pong balls. Again, there are 28, 4 representing each number of 6 through 12. And I'm just going to flip this open and take one out. Okay, you can shut it off. And let's take a look, and the name on this is, my goodness, this is a well-aged ping pong ball. Dick Berggren. Okay, so let's head over, flip up his NEXTEL cell phone here, and see what the number is. It's 6. Wow, usually, Mike, we have 12, as you said. So that means 6 cars are inverted. So let's head it back upstairs and see how that affects the field. Thanks for playing, by the way, the NASCAR NEXTEL inversion game.
6. That's Mark's number.
It's Mark's number.
So Mark will go from 1st to 6th, and didn't we say 6 was the money number? I think I recall saying that. But Brian Vickers is going to restart from the pole next to our pole sitter, Ryan Newman.
Which is a pretty darn good place for our pole sitter to start.
Wow. Well, here's Matt with the man who finished 2nd in segment 1.
And they're putting the window net up on Elliott Sadler's 4. Now you're going to restart 5th, Elliott. How about your shot for the big money?
I swear, Matt, I think we got a great shot. The pedigree for it, Taurus, is fast. We made a few adjustments to it, try to get it better on the long run. I got an unbelievable motor. This thing's cool to drive, but the guys have done a good job. Really would like to win this race. It's fun for us. It's fun for the fans. That'd be awesome here tonight. Pretty nervous, but ready to go. I can't wait.
Do you have to run up high to be as fast as you are?
I think so. I think where Humpy didn't grind it in the bottom of 1 and 2 makes it pretty loose down there. My car works good up high, but everybody else's does too. So we've made some adjustments to my car to where I can try to pass on the bottom. I think that's the only way we're going to have a shot to win this thing after they invert. That's what we tried. We'll see what happens.
He will go from 2nd to 5th for the restart.
Better feed old Jake while you at it.
So Ryan Newman, who started on pole and has the fastest lap of the race so far, will start from outside the front row.
50 laps remaining here on All-Star Night. This a Visa race break. Elliott Sadler leading the most laps in segment 1. Mark Martin winning it prior to the inversion. But with 5 laps to go, a 9-car wreck triggered when Tony Stewart got into Joe Nemechek, who got into Kevin Harvick. Of the 9 cars involved, 7 knocked out of this all-star event. Nemechek in the 01, Harvick in the 29. Afterwards, you heard words like butthead and idiot.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you take a look at that, all of a sudden Kevin Harvick, he didn't realize what had happened to trigger that, so automatically he was looking at Joe Nemechek, and you can see right quick, those two guys have no love lost between each other.
Now with what's left, Jack Roush, 5 cars in those remaining 15. 3 Roush cars in the top 5 as Nemechek and Harvick discuss what left them watching. This has been a Visa Race Break. Mike?
Getting set for segment 2, 30 laps. Aerial coverage from the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and its fleet of airships, as Brian Vickers and Ryan Newman will lead Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle, Elliott Sadler and Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, Carl Edwards, Kenseth, Labonte, and Mayfield. A lot of those Nextel yellow towels waving.
And they are. That's cool.
Now this is just 30 straight laps. There's no required pit stop. Then we'll get a caution before those final 20 green laps.
I hope they're straight, Larry. Straighter than those last 40. See how this plays out down here.
Ryan Newman in the 12 car. You can see these cars starting to really pick up speed, bottoming out. He gets that run off turn 2 down the backstretch like we've seen all night long from the outside line.
Boy, what a launch Newman got into turn 3.
Oh, yeah. Well, getting that good run off the 2 really gets you a lot of speed down into turn 3. And then, of course, he's good off the bottom of turn 4, and away he goes.
See teammates there, Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, Jimmy Johnson in the 48. They finished 7th and 8th. The invert just didn't quite work out to their plan.
Boy, Biffle shot up the hill, and that opened the door for the 38 car. He's looking underneath of him down the back.
And he's got a run. Sadler's going to go to 4th as Rusty Wallace works the outside on Jimmy Johnson. Oh, way up the hill went Biffle.
No, actually, that was the 38 car forced him up the hill and opened the door for a couple of cars to get by. Looks like these cars on low air, you know, they bottom out a lot, bounce around a lot, and that really hurts them.
Well, all I know is, I know these guys have fresh tires, but Ryan Newman just ran the fastest lap that he's ran in this entire event here on lap 42.
This is 30 laps, so you just drive it like you stole it.
Both hands and feet up on the steering wheel.
They don't talk to me, leave me alone, I'm focusing. All I want to know is when there's 5 to go.
Each of the first 3 drivers, Newman, Vickers, and Busch, just ran their fastest lap of the night.
And you've had a few minutes in there, too, to make adjustments. You know, spring rubbers, little wedge, track bar, whatever. And the car should be as good. This is a real good test right here of how good you're going to be.
I'll tell you, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car there, he's the one really starting to make the move, working the high side at both ends of the racetrack. He's trying to get to Mark Martin in the 6 car. That would be for 5th position.
I just think guys that have won here a lot, have run here a lot, it's just hard for them to find a new place to run, find a new groove to run in. It just comes back to you like, here's where you're supposed to be, but that's not working too good.
But DW, Larry, I'm just wondering right now, we see Ryan Newman, he is really mashing the gas right now and kind of driving away from the field, but would you be better off to try to conserve a little bit, maybe like Elliott, Mark, and all Jeff Gordon, and not abuse your tires and think about, man, I like to get track position and have good tires for that final segment?
I don't think so, Jeff. These tires, from what I've seen, don't fall off much. Seems like you can just, the longer you run, the faster you go.
But, Jeff, I definitely think possibly we may see some teams roll the dice when we get this caution here in about 25 laps and possibly just do 2 right-side tires.
Well, last year, the 12 car, you know, and Matt Kenseth, Kenseth got tires and the 12 car didn't. And Kenseth put a big move on the 12 right there with a few laps to go, and that won the race for him.
Jimmy Johnson got up and into the wall in the Lowe Chevrolet, running 9th. A little scrape there.
Ran out of racetrack coming off turn 2.
He just dusted her a little.
Speaking of dusting, Elliott Sadler in the 38 car just dusted Kurt Busch in the 97 car. That's the battle for 3rd position.
And Rusty's back here. He's not done yet either. You got to make that move right there. You got to put the slide job on the car on the outside, getting into one, so you can have the outside getting off the turn 2.
Rusty moves to 6th, and here comes Biffle back for 7th. Carl Edwards is on pit road. That leaves us 14 cars on the racetrack, and Edwards will fall off the lead lap.
Well, they're going to have to get the magic wand out if that 24 car is going to win tonight, Larry, because it just looks like he's good for a few laps on new tires, but he starts to fade after a few laps as well.
But Darrell, I'm starting to like the idea of pitting before the final segment, because with the double foul restart, the worst I can be is in the 7th row.
Well, there's a lot of strategy to take place here. You know, where am I going to be? And the bigger issue is, can I find me a position so I can restart on the outside to get that line off of turn 2? That's going to be huge on that last restart.
Looks like Greg Biffle in the 16. He will finally win this battle with Jeff Gordon in the 24. Jimmy Johnson is going to follow him through and pass his teammate as well.
And don't forget, on a restart in this race, in the All-Star race, they can call it off. You get a big jump, right, they will call it off and restart you again. So you can't jump the guy to try to get in front of him.
They've been known to do that before.
Happened to me and Dale and Jeff Gordon right here in 95. Dale was driving the Silver Bullet. Had to have a restart. And that's what caused that mess.
So Ryan Newman leads at 50 total laps. Brian Vickers half a second back and running well. 3rd, Elliott Sadler, and 4th is this battle. Mark Martin trying to move up to 4th on Kurt Busch, and Rusty Wallace closing.
I think Kurt just said, you know, Mark, you're better than I am, and let him in there and let him go.
Opposite from Jeff Gordon, looks like Mark Martin's car is better on long runs than short runs.
And that's, you know, typical Mark Martin.
How about the other driver who was up front at the end of segment 1, Elliott Sadler? Matt?
Elliott just told his crew chief, Todd Parrott, that the car is just too loose right now. And they were also talking in code right before the restart, talking about the plan that they had before this race was weighing heavy on Todd Parrott's mind. Also, you talked about the 97. He was a little bit tight in the center and good off. Steve?
Well, Matt, Brian Vickers is telling crew chief Lance McGrew that his car is tight in the middle of 3 and 4, but his biggest problem, he says, he's bottoming out and he just can't carry enough speed and momentum the way he needs to.
I just think a tight race car here, though, Larry, I've heard too many guys complain about they loosen their car up and they can go nowhere. Being a little tight's not a bad thing here.
Little tug on that steering wheel, but I've been noticing the last couple laps, Brian Vickers has been just a little bit quicker than our leader, Ryan Newman, in the 12. But the quickest car is that car back there in 3rd position, Elliott Sadler in that yellow 38.
So Vickers trying to close, but remains 0.8 of a second behind Ryan Newman, who took the restart green flag, Matt, and took off.
The 2002 winner, the only word he said on the radio, neutral. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon, a 3-time winner, he says the car is now the tightest that it has been all night long.
Yeah, and it's really showing up, Matt. I mean, he's having a tough time. He's lost a lot of positions, and the car looks like it's getting worse. It's not getting any better.
See, we're halfway through this second segment, lap 30. Just completed lap 15. This is where those crew chiefs need information if you are going to pit at the end of this segment.
Newman, Vickers, Sadler, and Mark Martin, the front 4.